You seem uncomfortable. Do it make you nervous, Corky?
No.
Thirsty, maybe.
Curious, maybe.
That's funny. I'm feeling a little bit curious myself.
This ain't no funeral home. It ain't the Terror Dome either. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers.
Welcome to Pleasers
and Punishers,
Where we talk about movies that people love to watch.
movies that ruin your today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
and all things kinky and queer.
I'm Caitlin of the North.
I'm May. How am I supposed to kill somebody that's already dead? Schultz.
And I'm your friendly guide through the 7 circles of hell, Amanda Jane Stern.
And today we're discussing, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life but realize there's nothing left. Because I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. Welcome to 1995! Welcome to hell! Welcome to the 3rd installment of Anthology August. It's Tales from the Hood! Woo! Directed by Rusty Cundieff. Co-written with Darren Scott. Music by Christopher Young. If that sounds familiar to you, you are correct. He did the music for Hellraiser. The score for Hellraiser, I should say. Obviously, this is very different than the soundtrack.
No, you don't say.
Hey, at least he didn't do the soundtrack for Hellraiser 3.
No. I'm going to just do the wraparound segments.
Yeah.
I can get into
Starring a
who's and
bajillion
what.
people.
It is a lot of people. This is a stacked cast. So a lot of people who did a lot of work afterwards. It's great. This is starring Clarence Williams III, Joe Torre, Samuel Monroe Jr., and DeAndre Bonds. I almost said something crazy with Monroe. So that was why I stopped. I'm like, Monroe.
All right, before we get into it, what do you want on your tombstone?
I used to have so many good ones, but I think right now I want it to say they were a trash artist found in the alleyways where your finest dumpsters were. Here lies Caitlin. Trash
Excellent.
artist.
Insert here.
Personally, I just want pepperoni. No, so many people have joked that it's going to say, I was just trying to help on my tombstone because I can't tell you how many times I've said that after someone gets frustrated or upset with me. Because really, I was just trying to help.
My mom, one of her patients at one point was, because it's also Australia, was like, Jocelyn, you're a right cunt. And I went, that goes on the tombstone right there.
She's a right cunt.
Yep.
That's,
Good.
I love that.
I put that on my tombstone. I like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of right cunts, let's get into some role play.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?
Now, one of you will be the drowning victim, and the other one gets to be our lifesaver.
I'll be the victim. All your life.
Thank you for that beautiful transition opportunity. 3 drug dealers, Stack, Ball, and Bulldog, arrive at a funeral home where mortician Mr. Sims is supposed to sell them some drugs, the shit, that he found in the alley. But he's in no rush and begins to tell them stories. The first, rogue cop revelation, involves Wings Hauser and police brutality. Two American staples.
Wings Hauser.
Oh my god.
I've seen so many fucking Wings Hauser movies because Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater, like between the two of them, have riffed so many of them. I've also watched a bunch of Wings Hauser movies that are like shitty horror movies. Anyway. Rookie cop Clarence, a young black man, runs the plates on city councilman and black rights activist Martin Morehouse's car. Wings and the other 2 white cops at the scene beat the absolute shit out of Martin while Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit plays. Clarence's partner Newton, played by Michael Massey, insists that they not rat out the other 2 because you never break the code. Meanwhile, Wings shoots up Martin with heroin, his partner Billy drops a few bricks of it in the trunk, and they send him and the car into the water down at the dock.
Because Morehouse really came off like a heroin addict at any given point.
1 year later, Clarence, who's on a bender, experiences a vision of Martin asking him to bring them to me. The 3 white cops head to the cemetery where Clarence is halfway through a bottle of whiskey, and he eggs them on to visit Martin's grave. Wings unzips and takes a piss on the headstone, followed by Billy, who is at least a little reluctant. Martin's hand reaches up from under the ground to grab Billy by his dick, slam his head against the piss-covered headstone, and pull him down into the earth.
That is just like such white people shit to not worry about like disturbing graves.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm like,
it's like when Will Poulter takes a piss on the tree in Midsummer.
I'm like, you don't walk over those graves. That's all I'm saying. You definitely don't pee on them.
Disrespectful.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
the amount of disrespect.
The grave explodes, and undead Martin emerges holding Billy's beating heart.
Yes.
So Wings and Newton tear out of there in their cruiser. Martin rips Wings' head off through the sunroof, and Newton blows up the car by shooting at it repeatedly. Martin then crucifies Newton on an alleyway mural using spent needles and melting him into the painting. Clarence then ends up in a psychiatric facility for supposedly murdering the 3 cops. In Boys Do Get Bruised, new kid Walter gets brutally bullied on his first day at school, but he claims that his bruises are from a monster at home, which we see enter his bedroom that night. At school, his teacher, Mr. Garvey, is
Played by the writer-director.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's Rusty Cundieff?
He's very attractive.
Oh, he's
he's
so hot.
very
He's still a
attractive.
fox.
And he's a
Like,
great actor.
He is
Yeah,
so
he
attractive.
started out as a comedian actor, so.
Okay.
Oh,
So
that makes
outfit,
a lot of sense.
That outfit that they put him in, the like really, really dorky, sweater. I'm sitting there thinking like, this sweater vest shouldn't be doing so much for me, but
No, he's.
But it kind of is giving Theo from The Cosby Show, and like, come on, we all had crushes on Theo,
it's
right?
also it's giving like professor vibes,
R.I.P.
like
Velvet
guy who's gonna
Water.
take care of you vibes.
I did also want to point out that Walter is played by Brandon Hammond, who was a child actor, so it doesn't really do anything now, but he was in Menace to Society, Waiting to Exhale, Mars Attacks, Soul Food, and was the young Michael Jordan in fucking Space Jam. In Space Jam. I was so stoked. I was like, this kid looks so familiar
He's doing
to me.
a really good job because
This kid is incredible.
This is good child acting. But yes, writer-director is really attractive.
Yep. So, Mr. Garvey, played by writer-director Rusty Cundieff, is extremely concerned and talks to Walter during recess. Walter draws pictures of the things that scare him, which was suggested to him by one of his school friends, which I think is, really nice. At least there's at least one person who's being kind to him. So he draws things that scare him, including the monster, so that he can destroy them and remove their power over him. When he crumples his drawing of Tyrone, one of his bullies, the boy's arms and legs break, and he is taken to the hospital. Mr. Garvey pays a visit to Walter's home and asks his mother, Sissy, about the monster. Her asshole boyfriend, Carl, played exquisitely by David Allen Greer, comes home, and Mr. Garvey tries to explain the situation, but Sissy seems terrified, and the teacher is shown the door.
This is when Julian went into his, why doesn't David Allen Greer have Oscars?
Correct.
Yeah.
David Allen Greer is
Amazing.
one of the best
He's
actors
amazing.
who is currently alive. His stand-up specials are fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But when he does drama, he is so good.
I think part of it is
He graduated from the
Oscars?
Yale Drama School.
Here's the thing,
He was a Shakespearean actor.
A lot of times the Oscars like the most acting. He
I was like-
disappears. David
Yeah.
Alan Grier disappears into his roles. Every performance is so different, and there are times I will watch something he's in, and it will take me a moment to even realize that this is the character he's playing. That's how much he's a chameleon. It's amazing. He's phenomenal. He should have Oscars.
But he's black. So that's really like what it comes down to. When you look at the amount of black actors who have actually won Oscars, it is appalling.
It's like, what, 2?
Appalling. Well, for Best Actress, it's 1.
1, yes. Yeah, I was going with
for
the actors.
Best Actor, it's
maybe
Denzel. Michael B. Jordan just won it, and I am absolutely forgetting. Was it Sidney Poitier?
Probably, so 3.
I think maybe.
More in the supporting categories, and he's usually not the lead role.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I watched so many movies with him in them, and I loved him. I wanted
Yeah, 'cause he's
him to
prolific.
be my cool uncle or something. So the first time I saw this and he was a bad guy, I was deeply upset by it because I was like, no, he's my fun uncle. He's not supposed to be mean.
Yeah.
So it like really genuinely freaked me out.
Right, his real persona, he gives off just such nice vibes.
Oh yeah.
Well, and he was coming off of In Living Color, that was from like 1990 and 1994, and then Martin, which ended in 1997. So everyone knew him mostly as like a comedian, and it's interesting because Rusty Cundieff does talk about he met him through doing comedy, but also knew he was like a Shakespearean actor and wanted someone that really like flipped that idea of who you thought he was to bring in something like very dark.
Yeah, I mean, he has the diction and the speech patterns of someone who is Shakespeare trained.
He has what you might say is the juice.
The gravitas.
The
Yes.
shit.
The shit.
Yes. The shit. When the monster enters Walter's room, it's revealed that it's Carl, and he beats the shit out of Sissy. Mr. Garvey sees him hitting her with his belt and runs back inside while Carl is beating Walter. The two men fight, leaving Mr. Garvey badly injured, and Walter crumples his drawing of the monster. Carl's body follows suit, and Sissy smashes the drawing under her foot, killing him.
It looks so good.
It's so
I
good.
just, the
Fantastic.
way it's all shot and
Cheering for that. I was cheering for that.
Mr. Garvey lights the stove and has Walter burn the drawing, causing Carl to catch fire and disappear.
Yep.
Next up is KKK Comeuppance, starring everyone's favorite dad from Psych, Corbin Burnson.
This is when I texted you, this movie is 31 years old and things have not gotten better.
No, they absolutely haven't, and
This was literally the one where I was just like, oh yeah.
Corbin Burnson in real life is unfortunately very, very Christian and I think fairly conservative. He has made and or starred in a lot of like inspirational Christian movies.
Industry talk. It doesn't mean he actually is. It means he needs a paycheck.
But I'm pretty sure he actually
No, I will say,
is.
like, I turn those down. I will not. Yes, I want a paycheck. I will not work on those.
Yeah, because you actually have morals.
I'm an openly queer woman, and I say what I believe, and I will not. Those are my limits. Like, I won't do that for a paycheck, but a lot of people will.
Yep. Okay, so in this segment, racist governor hopeful Duke Metger, a former Klan member, is under scrutiny from the local community. Among other things, he has moved into a plantation house where there was a massacre after the Civil War because the owner didn't want his slaves going free. Legend goes that old Miss Cobbs put the slave souls into dolls.
Was this the one who is Rusty's mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. I was like, holy shit. Okay. Just because, I mean, it's David Duke. He even uses the name Duke. And if people don't know, David Duke is still alive, which fucking sucks. And he is a white supremacist, a neo-Nazi, former, maybe still
Grand
is a
Dragon.
Grand
Is he
Wizard.
like a-
Wizard.
Grand Wizard,
of
not
the
Grand
Knights
Dragon.
of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, I always
and
forget
this
their
is
ranking
where-
system because
and-
it makes no sense.
And this is also where we said, oh, this is a real hood story because he's a Klan member.
Uh-huh.
He loves his pointy fucking hood.
And David Duke was elected. He was the Republican member of the Louisiana House of Representatives from 1989 to 1992. He also tried a couple of times to mount a presidential campaign, a senatorial campaign. Those didn't go far. And at one point, and this is the thing that's wild, is he did like start to renounce that or pretend that he wasn't into this. So all of the stuff that is being said is like so true.
Yeah.
And after one of his campaigns, maybe the 1992 presidential one, or one of them didn't go well, he didn't even pretend anymore. There was no pretense after that. So
He was like, never mind, I'm still a Nazi.
a lot of conspiracy theories about the Jews.
He's a heinous piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I can't
So,
believe he's still alive.
I know. Well, as Billy Joel put it, only the good die young. Which would be a great lesbian power ballad. Think about it.
yeah. I'm on board. While assisting Duke with his media strategy, campaign manager and light-skinned black man Rhodey takes a tumble down the stairs and dies. After the funeral, Duke finds a doll in his limo, then throws it out the window. He reviews the tape that contains Rhodey's death and notices a doll on the floor next to the stairs.
This actor has been in like so many movies. They're like
Corbin
all the Spike
Burnson?
Lee. No.
Rhodey.
Yeah, Roger Gwyneth. Oh shit, Gwenvere. I listened to it before I like was gonna let this come out of my mouth, but I think it's like
He's kind
it's
of
almost like
that guy.
Guinevere was like Roger Gwenvere Smith. He's been to like every Spike Lee movie. He was in Final Destination, the original one.
Sure was.
yeah.
I believe
yes.
he plays a cop in
Yes,
that?
he does.
Yes,
He's
he
like
does.
an FBI agent, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Like-
I mean,
1
Yeah.
million movies. I was watching some interviews with people, and so it was like, you cannot talk about black cinema without talking about this man. And I was like, yeah, the filmography is extensive. Extensive.
That evening, after seeing it's missing from the painting, the doll gets back in the house and begins to torment and attack Duke. He damages the painting of Miss Cobbs with an American flag, and it begins to bleed.
he's literally asking for it.
He also uses the flag to beat the doll, then ties it to a dartboard and blasts it twice with his shotgun. The painting now has more blank spots where dolls once were, and Duke says a bunch of real racist shit while the main doll chases him. He locks it out of the office and turns to see the army of dolls, who attack and devour him as he wraps himself in the flag. Miss Cobbs materializes in the room, rocking in her rocking chair, and pleased with the work her dolls are doing.
I'm pleased with it too.
I was going to say same. Same,
Yeah.
same.
This segment
Same,
definitely fucked me up as a kid because I was already kind of scared of dolls, and this made me more scared of them. But it also was like, wait, but the dolls are good guys. They're doing the right thing. Not to, make a Spike Lee joke, but they are doing the right thing. Finally, in Hardcore Convert, gangster and homicidal psychopath Crazy K murders his rival Lil Deke, whose homies gun him down, but before they can finish the job, the cops show up and kill them. K is sent to prison for life without parole, but 4 years later, he's offered an experimental medical trial that, if he completes it, will allow him to go free.
So this actor is Lamont Bentley, and one of the things he is the most known for is being the brother, Brandy's brother in Moesha.
Yep.
And he died in 2005 in a car crash, so that's a very sad thing that had happened. But yes, if he is familiar to anyone, it might be from Moesha.
I definitely watched Moesha when it
Yes,
started, because
I
it was
definitely
on
saw them.
UPN either right before or right after Voyager. Kay's cell neighbor is a truly horrifying white supremacist and murderer who wishes to cleanse the world of all black people, offering to spare Kay for being a killer of his own kind. He's loaded onto, and I got this term from Wikipedia, a gyroscopic modulator, and has goggles strapped to his face and a metal ball gag inserted in his mouth. And he is forced to view images involving KKK members and actual photographs of lynching victims, interspersed with footage of gang violence as well as his own violent actions. Next, Kay is placed into a sensory deprivation chamber, and this is where Amanda started to hate the movie because there is a lot of really intense strobing.
Yes, I would like someone to release an epileptic person-approved cut. Not that I'm epileptic, but I am photosensitive. And the strobing is so extreme, and it's 7 minutes long. I had a headache for the rest of the night and felt deeply nauseous,
I'm so sorry.
which made my rating for this movie go down a whole point because I felt sick. And not in a mental, like, oh, this is making me think level, but in a, you put so much blinding white light flashing in front of my eye that now I need to close my eyes because it is making me physically sick.
Yeah.
Just as the death penalty should.
Oh, God. I mean, yes, but just trim it down. Make it less bright or shorter.
It was very long.
It is too. There is a thread on Reddit about, like, how a bunch of people physically cannot watch it because it's too much flashing light.
Yeah. So, in the sensory deprivation chamber, he is confronted by the souls of everyone he's killed, whether intentionally or not, including an innocent young girl. He still refuses to accept responsibilities for his actions, and he is transported back to the moment when Lil Deke's boys were going to shoot him, which they do, and it's revealed that that was the 3 guys in the funeral home. They follow Mr. Sims into the basement and see themselves in coffins in the back room. He explains that they were killed by Crazy K's boys, then turns into the devil, and the walls fall away, revealing that they're in hell! So good.
Clarence is so good.
So good.
So good.
All right, so easy question. Which of these segments is your favorite?
The KKK comeuppance. It's those little puppets.
Yeah?
I just
And
it's stop motion animation.
Which
It-
was done by the Kyoto brothers, who did Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I love the effects in that one.
Oh, yeah.
It really.
All of the effects in this are fucking phenomenal. Other
for
than
that
the
one.
walls falling away.
Yes, except
Well,
for the CGI at the very end.
I was going to say
Yeah.
the snake tongue, which
Yeah.
is actually, it's kind of funny because in an interview that I will tell everyone where to go see it, kind of is talking about, like, he's like, I'm kind of glad we didn't have the option to use a lot of, like, digital or computer generated effects, because he's like, what's the worst looking effect in the movie is that tongue at the end.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah, fair. Caitlin, which one's your favorite?
you know, I actually do think this is kind of a hard question because they
Yep.
all really feed into each other very well that I kind of have a hard time picking out which one. Probably either Rogue Cop or Boys Do Get Bruised.
Yeah, for me,
Walter.
it's Boys Do Get Bruised, because I love that Walter gets to learn that he has this power and uses it with the support of his mother and this teacher who, like, genuinely cares about him to defeat the monster that is his, essentially stepfather figure. And
Such a cool way.
oh yeah,
What
it's
an inventive, like, way to show that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about
again,
you, but I've
effects.
definitely put people's names on pieces of paper and burned those papers.
Oh, when I found the handwritten pages of my wedding vows in a drawer, I put on You Fail Me by Converge, which is my favorite song off my favorite album of theirs. I actually put it on vinyl, and I essentially just did an incantation that I came up with while I burned them.
Yeah, it's
And-
a really, really cleansing thing to do.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, Amanda, was this a first watch for you?
This was not the movie that Julian and I were expecting to go into. We thought we were about to watch a comedy hosted by Snoop Dogg,
Wait,
Oh.
what?
because there is an anthology comedy horror narrated by Snoop Dogg that is like stories from the hood or horror from the hood. Yep.
I don't think I knew that existed.
So, when we got into Rogue Cop and realized, oh shit, this is legit. This is, not only is this a real movie,
It's not a comedy.
it is not a comedy, but we thought we were watching some like dumb hosted by a Snoop Dogg thing that was not really like a real movie.
That's kind of incredible.
We're like, wait, this is dark. It's really good. It's a move. This is an actual movie, not what we thought.
And then, what about you, Caitlin?
So I had known about this for a long time, but again, I didn't grow up watching horror movies. I did not seek them out. We were, actively do not watch these at home. And I'm not a big fan of anthologies, so it's not like I'm going to specifically watch something I'm not a fan of the genre for. I don't even know if I do as an anthology. And I'm actually kind of surprised that I didn't see this until a few years ago, definitely during quarantinis, and it was for a Monday night quarantine fright film when I was doing that with my friends, and when I had friends, when I had those friends, and it may have been for it's either like anthology, though I do feel like we did a horror noir theme at one point, and one of us decided to rent this theater that you basically will show you whatever you want if you rent it and it's available for them to show. So we rented a theater.
Holy shit.
And I might have been the only person who had not seen this out of the
Oh.
7 of us. Variety of on the Pantone scale. And I was like, okay, I have not seen this. And the person whose choice this was just like, oh, Caitlin, you're going to love it. I'm like, yes, you are absolutely correct. It was just one of those moments where I'm like, I can't believe none of my friends maybe watched this, like particularly earlier in the 2000s. I can't believe this never came up. I'm just really shocked that I never saw it because I was like, nailed it. Yes.
Yeah, I definitely saw this on like HBO late one night in like 1996, something like that. And yeah, most of the segments absolutely fucking terrified me. And honestly, all of them terrified me. And I still find this movie very scary, not just from like a social commentary standpoint, but as a horror movie, the horror elements of it are scary. I mean, it's pretty terrifying.
Well, it's also because we have men coming from comedy, and so the wraparound is really incorporating a lot that is set up comedically. So then when it hits you,
Yep. Yeah, it's a nice subversion. It's a nice pull of the rug. And
but again, at the beginning, I still thought we were going into some like comedy, and Julian's just sitting there like, "Where's Snoop Dogg? When's he gonna show up to like narrate a la Elvira?"
Oh my God.
I don't remember if it's in Tales from the Hood 2 or Tales from the Hood 3, neither of which I have actually watched, but in one of them, it ends with Keith David that's 2, okay, in the driver's seat of a limo, and the way he says, "Welcome to hell, motherfucker!" I'll insert that clip into the episode because it is absolutely beautiful.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Yeah, I think 3 has Tony Todd in it, and 2
Yes, that's
Keith
correct.
David.
All right, well, let's get into the film's context in our next section, Faith and Chance.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself. Because I'm the maker of my own evil. Goodness is only some kind of reflection upon evil. That's all it is.
Alrighty, what was happening in movies at this time? So this movie came out in 1995. The highest grossing movies at the box office: Die Hard with a Vengeance,
Rules.
Toy Story,
Still pretty good.
Apollo 13,
It's fine.
GoldenEye,
Rules.
Pocahontas.
Boo! Boo!
If you
Stop
want-
singing Colors of the Wind at
Watch
karaoke.
Fern Gully instead.
Fuck you.
Batman Forever,
Rules.
I love it. So good.
Sisefinin,
Rules.
Fucked me up so bad.
Oh yeah.
also led to a whole bunch of shitty ripoffs. Casper,
Rules.
First crush, Christina Ricci. I knew
Oh.
it wasn't like the
that
other
tracks.
girls
I
in that
was into
moment.
her dad.
What a fucking
Pullman?
surprise. Hey,
my God.
Bill Pullman is so hot and charming in
I've
this.
had a massive crush on Bill
That's
Pullman
so
since I first saw
good.
Spaceballs, which was probably around the time I saw Casper. And yes, this is a crush that I thought was very subtle until my mom made fun of me for it a couple of Thanksgivings ago.
Incredible.
Waterworld
Sucks.
and Jumanji.
Rules.
Fuck yeah.
1995 was mostly a pretty good year for
Like,
movies.
holy shit.
Yeah.
I can't believe Seven and Casper came out at the same time because I definitely watched Casper and Congo at a sleepover, and then many years later watched Seven at a sleepover, where it's like, along with Romeo and Juliet. So it was that year.
My mom asked me recently if I knew who Devon Sawa was, and I go, "Of course, he's human Casper."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, I didn't realize that because you never talked about him and Casper. It was always Bill Pullman."
That is so funny. That movie also made me really, really aware of my own mortality at like 9.
Yeah,
It was
the movie was
really
kind
made
of-
me like have bad. I was a very stressed out child.
You had an existential crisis.
Oh, for years.
So we're still in the era of the mid-budget thriller and the mid-budget action movie. Bring those back. And also, with the end of the blaxploitation cinema of the 70s, the 80s and 90s saw a major rise in films being made by black filmmakers. This is actually by the mid-90s, you had the most movies at any one time being made by black directors. And a lot of this is, men like Spike Lee, who would become big in the 80s, executive producing. He's an executive producer here. And, black filmmakers who had made it the decade before, propping up other filmmakers.
To absolutely piggyback off of that, so I watched, again, a couple of interviews and other things that featured either Tales from the Hood or... It's so hard for me not to go, Rusty, every time. Like, I'm Rusty.
He's Rusty.
Yep, every time. I'm like, oof. But don't do it. Don't do it. Rusty
What is
Cundieff.
a Rusty venture?
Right. What is it? It's a speed suit. I know what I'm going to be wearing for the rest of my life.
Spanakopita! Okay, I'm going to stop quoting that.
Because this will be forever. So this is Horror Noir, a history of black horror, which is on Shudder, and then an hour and a half interview with him from INeverKnewTV.com on YouTube. So, as I said, he started as a comedian, moved into acting. Some of his first roles were in Hollywood Shuffle. If you've not seen Hollywood Shuffle, oh my God, see Hollywood Shuffle. It is like mind-breaking. 1987, it's Robert Townsend. It is just like quintessential, like incredible cinema period, and it talks so much about Black people in Hollywood and having to basically like make your own roles and whatnot because you are only going to be cast as a drug dealer or a pimp. He was also in School Days, which is how he first met Spike Lee in 1988. And actually a bunch of the actors who also ended up in this movie were in School Days as well. Then he also started moving into directing and writing. I mean, the comedy lends itself to writing. I know he did work on like House Party 2 as a writer, but he's also the director, actor, writer in like Fear of a Black Hat from 1993, which that is the other reason I couldn't believe I hadn't seen this movie, because I've absolutely seen Fear of a Black Hat, and I was like, how?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's one I haven't seen in probably 30 years. Because, you know, as a 9-year-old, I was honestly, like, really into Black American cinema.
It's like,
what?
No, what a flex, May.
Yeah. I'm not saying that to be a flex. I'm saying that because it's fucking true.
1993. Tales from the Hood, obviously, 1995, and Sprung, 1997. Some also background on him. His father was an activist. His father was also a former detective, though. He did end up moving to social work at one time. So because of this and a lot of other experiences that Cundieff had, he didn't want to just do horror for horror's sake. When he started to develop Tales from the Hood, he was pretty much like this idea of, you don't have to be afraid of the dead. The dead isn't going to hurt you. The living are going to hurt you. What we're living through right now and have in the past, like, these are the things that you have to watch out for, and using the supernatural as more of a source of redemption. Which is why, so when you're talking about how, like, the dolls were scary, but they're also good, that's, again, the supernatural is actually the redeeming part of this. For Rogue Cop Revelation, so absolutely Strange Fruit, huge. This was originally a poem written in 1937 by a actually white Jewish American man who later set it to music, and the first Black vocalist to actually record this and perform it was Laura Duncan. 1939, this becomes incorporated into Billie Holiday's repertoire.
There's definitely some mentioning in this movie, particularly in the KKK one, of historically, like, Jewish activists and Black activists working together, and there's a huge history there, because obviously two different groups who dealt with shit, so in different ways.
And Abel Meeropol, who is the person who wrote this, like, he wrote it in response to seeing those photographs of lynchings. So this was very much an anti-lynching song. This is a pro-civil rights song. And because of the power of the song, when Billie Holiday started to incorporate it, she would only close with it. Like, you wouldn't put it anywhere else. Service would stop. So if there was dinner, waiters, whatever, drinks, stop. The room would be in complete darkness except for a spotlight on Holiday's face. And there would be no encore. So, and using it particularly in this segment that has to do with policing also really evokes, like, the beginnings of police in the United States, which is with slave patrols in the Carolinas, and how so much of our, which is why it needs to be burned to the fucking ground and rebuilt, because it is already built on like just 100% racism.
Reform is not possible for the way
changed.
police exist in the United States, because it is built on the back of slave catching.
And also then for this poem and song from 1930s, as we talked about in Sinners, I believe, that the KKK had a huge resurgence after Birth of a Nation.
Yep, that's why it made it
And
restart.
so it was the 20s and the 30s is
Fuck that
when
garbage-ass
it
movie.
Really, I mean, they were all...
Have you seen it? It's garbage.
all
It's
bad.
boring as fuck, too. It's bad. It is a badly told movie. It is poorly done. It is overlong. And that's before I get into the fact that it's a racist, sexist piece of shit. It is also just a bad movie.
It is so bad. It is so horrifying.
And for anybody who wants to watch along on Blue Sky, there is an account who loves to just take down D.W. Griffiths and read him for filth. And I believe it is called Movies Silently. So.
And because of this, with the resurgence of the KKK, I mean, surprise, a lot of cops were a part of it. Whole entire departments were a part of that. So, and obviously this continues with police brutality today, where... fucking fortunately, where, you know, black people have way more brutality forced upon them, police shooting deaths, oh my god, shooting deaths, than other races by a large margin, nonviolence, and it really upsets me. So I think that it is so fucking powerful how he uses this song in this moment, in this exact, like he could have used it in KKK comeuppance, but he doesn't. And that is one of the reasons why it's just like, when it started, especially this time watching it, I was like, oh, like, how did I forget that this was used here? Because,
Yeah, no, I absolutely started crying when that happened, and it, oof, yeah. Fuck the police.
Yeah, that's the, and that, you know, Clarence does not help when he needed to, and so it's like, and that's where ACAB comes from, you know, it is, you can't be a good cop.
The ACAB actual terminology originated in the UK. Yeah.
You know what, that makes sense, because they are more likely to call someone a bastard.
Yeah. But no, you're right. There was always this idea of people going into the force because they thought they could change it from the inside. You cannot change a broken system. You have to ruin it from the outside. You need to dismantle it and put and build something new. And it cannot be the system. I mean, for one thing, we're over policed. We don't need this level of policing. Are
military grade?
No,
like...
no. Do we need some level of detectives to solve, like, yes, but also that should not come out of the same feeding system of someone who's giving a traffic ticket. That should probably come from someone with a law degree who has an understanding of how the fucking law works. I have a lot of thoughts about police change, because I've done a lot of work with true crime and I've done a lot of research into it, and it just, there's so much that needs to change, and the system as it is does not work, and it's not good, and it's unnecessary.
Salt the earth, try again. So going back, when we get into Boys Do Get Bruised, the inspiration came from a real life experience that Cundieff had, where he was actually at a white friend's house. At one point they moved across the cemetery to kind of the white area of Pittsburgh, and he's talking about, he went to a friend's house, and he's like, I'm not saying, people just kind of assume it was a black family because I'm black, but these were white people. He goes over to a friend's house, and they go down into the basement, and he's talking about how there's like not really a floor there, it's a dirt floor, and his friends, one of their siblings, was hogtied and gagged and like just on the floor, facing the wall. And he asked, like, what is happening? And his friend goes, oh, she did something wrong. So he goes back home to talk to his dad, who is a detective at this time. And his father responds, I can't do anything with those white people. Like, I can't mess with that at all. And he talks about how that is, I mean, such a huge thing, not just because of the domestic violence pieces and the child abuse pieces of it, but also, like, being a black man who has this bit of power and has a badge still cannot do anything in this white community. And he's like, these people weren't connected to anyone or anything. They were just like really poor dysfunctional, like in a really bad situation, white people, but still, like, there was nothing that we could do because of racism. And he talks about, though, obviously, like, this is not just a problem in the white community, though it is a huge issue in the white community. I think white people actually experience more domestic violence and child abuse and things like that.
Yeah, it's because white people don't put the same emphasis on community. And, black folks tend to be more community-minded and taking care of each other.
And white people get away with shit.
That as well. There's, I think, a lot that has to do with, like, privilege and power and thinking you deserve things and not being able to get these things. Like, they talk about, like, this idea of, being part of your circumstances and maybe trying to rise above those circumstances. And you think, though, this is the way to rise above these circumstances, this is how you portray strength, or this is how you portray. And it's just, like, really toxically masculine. We already talked a bit about David fucking Duke. What
Someone just light him on fire. Someone light him on fire. Someone
choke on a bag of dicks.
I was like, didn't he die? And then it was like,
nope. Unfortunately, nope.
Yeah. So, 1988 Democratic presidential nomination. If you don't know about the great switches between the parties and ideology,
please look it up. Yes, look it up. Do not yell at us that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Because if you think that's the same thing, it means now you're a moron.
Strom Thurmond was a Democrat. So, yes, we had our Dixiecrats, and look it up. It's a long, fucked up.
And it's all about racism.
So he had pretended to not be a racist, neo-Nazi, KKK member, piece of shit. But by the late 90s, he just abandoned all of that and was like, let's see, what did it say? He then began to devote himself to writing about his political views, both in newsletters and later on the internet. In his writings, he maligns African Americans and other ethnic minorities and promotes conspiracy theories about a Jewish plot to control the United States and the world. He continued to run for public office through 2016.
Yep,
amazingly enough, wasn't elected to anything, but here we are.
I wish I had that space laser.
That'd be cool.
Hardcore convert, that is none of my business, so I'm going to stay out of that one. That is none of my business.
Fair.
I mean, this movie is hugely influential. I think it didn't, with dominant culture, a lot of white people, this wasn't on their radar until Get Out in 2017, which is pretty wild because you can absolutely see, like, Get Out taking a lot of influence from this movie. It absolutely did. But you could not get the sequels for Tales from the Hood 2 until after Get Out gets made. However, is considered a cult classic. It is particularly important for Black horror because this is a horror movie talking specifically about issues within the Black community, written and directed by a Black person, starring Black people, which is not something that has historically happened. It continues not to happen a lot of times, and it doesn't always go well when it doesn't, so.
No, instead we get a lot of, what if the South won the Civil War? What
And
if a
antebellum.
Black woman got set? Yes. All made by white people.
Yep.
Obviously, I mean, like, Candyman being a huge piece of, like, Black culture and Black people very much, I mean, Daniel Robitaille is a great fucking villain. Tony Todd is fucking incredible in the movie. And there are issues with that movie because he predominantly targets Black people, which makes no sense since it's white people who killed him. And it's off of a Clive Barker story. It was directed by a white person. And so
That's part of why I love Candyman, the Nia DaCosta version of Candyman, because it recontextualizes things and it takes more ownership of it as a Black American piece of culture. And it's, oh God, it's so good. I love that fucking movie.
And, obviously, I'm not here to tell anyone to feel bad about liking Candyman or anything, or anyone to feel any kind of way about. As a white
you're
person,
Caitlin of the
I am
North, and you're here to bum us out.
Yes, I am. This is why we. Just a spoiler alert: we do not have a game this week because I was like, I can't.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fair.
Might be too much of a bummer. But what I do want to say, kind of rounding this out, is some of my favorite things. I mean, from horror noir, this from the British Film Institute, Sarah Barbe Brown said this is important to the history of horror and to black horror in particular. It's laced unabashedly with inside jokes specifically aimed at a black audience. And then we have Camilo Hannibal Smith from the Houston Chronicle and director Bomani J. Story have called Tales from the Hood the godfather of black horror. And even when you watch horror noir too, when they get to this point, they're like, this movie really did things for us.
Also, shout out to the archivists at the BFI. My God, they're amazing. They've discovered there are movies that I've been able to watch and cover because of the BFI archives. So
Good job. All right.
hire me. I would love to join you.
Hire me. Marry me. There we go.
Babysit me.
Right.
So this has an unconscionable 65% on Rotten Tomatoes based off of 25 reviews with an average of 5.7 out of 10. It has a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 3.7 out of 5 or a 7.4 out of 10 on Letterboxd. So at least it's a little bit higher there. This is a 4.5-star movie for me. I think it is absolutely incredible, both as a piece of black filmmaking, as a piece of horror filmmaking, and I genuinely think it is one of the best anthology films ever made. It is so seamless and perfectly woven together, and I love that.
Such a great job of telling a complete story within the anthology, which again I feel like doesn't always happen, which is why I have an issue with this particular subgenre. But this, it was like,
yeah. And speaking of, let's make that money. And now we'll dig into the meat, the goo, the viscera, the racist guy's flesh in a section we call Enough is a Myth.
No. I've done enough.
Enough is a myth.
The final segment is revealed to be tied into Stack, Bulldog, and Ball's story. Do you think there are ways for the first 3 segments to also somehow connect to these 3 men, or are they just being used to illustrate the point?
I mean, other than being in the same town as these things happening and, being at the quote-unquote funeral home where Mr. Sims has prepared these bodies, I don't think they are necessarily connected. It's just kind of like, he's giving them some lessons before they are sentenced to eternal damnation.
I agree. I had nothing more to say in that moment. I agree.
Okay.
I mean, I think obviously, again, with what Cundieff has tried to do, this is very much, unfortunately, unstill, but very pertinent. It's all just very pertinent to black folk.
Okay, so now we're going to get to the subtlety thing. Tales from the Hood makes its message overt, doing away with metaphor to really hammer home its points. Personally, I think that can be a really effective storytelling technique, but I know that there are always people who get really annoyed with that. Sometimes rightly so, and sometimes they're just idiots. How do you feel this choice works for Tales from the Hood?
So, I already gave my thoughts on this earlier, but I think it's incredible. I think that When subtlety is used well, it can be extremely effective. And I think that sometimes, especially when it comes to issues like racial violence, subtlety is not the move, because subtlety lets the people who are casually or unknowingly racist continue to get away with it and perpetuate their actions and their beliefs. You gotta be overt with it. Sometimes you have to beat people over the fucking head with a giant cartoon hammer and then drop a piano on them and then hit them with the hammer again so that they finally fucking get it. And I really appreciate that this movie does that, because it does it really well. You know, these are extremely effective stories and extremely affecting as well, because they are unsubtle.
And I think it's not even so much like the messaging, metaphor, the subtlety. It's like, this is what we are experiencing in our day-to-day lives. These are things that we have to worry about in our day-to-day lives. This is how we move right now through our day-to-day lives at this point in time because of the history that has put us here. So, you know, I don't even think like having subtlety or making it a metaphor would even make any sense when, again, this is the living that is doing this to the living. This is something that we have to be worried about when we walk outside. You know, I'm thinking particularly the rogue cop, but even obviously the KKK comeuppance.
Yep.
I was watching The Dead Zone when I watched all the Cronenberg 80s movies. Yes. And there is a scene in there that is so fucked up, because it basically is like Trump. Sorry, Jeffrey. This is like Trump, and...
Sorry, Jeffrey!
I didn't think I was going to be the first person to say it, because I was like, this is stupid! And then I did it! Like, just...
If you don't know what we're referring to, make sure you're signed up for our Patreon so you can learn who Jeffrey is.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Obviously, specifically talking about David Duke in this scenario. However, it is... People got so fucking overt with their racism.
Yeah.
Dog whistles do not exist anymore. It is just in it with our Republican Party there. We're not just...
It's not subtle racism. It is in your face. This is not about microaggressions.
Right, exactly. This is not about microaggressions. This is about straight up aggression against the Black community. Mostly for historic reasons perpetrated by the white community.
I'll also add to this that there's a level of, yes, you don't always need to be subtle. Sometimes hit us over the head with the story. That's great, and I think this movie does a great job of it. And yes, there will always be people who go, oh, well, isn't that bad storytelling? Don't they understand? And these are what I like to call idiots, who like to harp on certain writing rules without actually understanding why they exist and when they should be used. For example, things like show, don't tell. Cool. Sometimes that you break that for reasons. And it's about how you employ these things. And so when a movie is being bad about not being subtle is when the movie itself is preachy or sermonizing. This movie isn't subtle, but it's not didactic. It's not like you sitting in a church or a temple with someone sermonizing and lecturing you. That's what you get when you watch Christian movies.
Starring Corbin Burnson.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, final question. As this is Anthology Month, we've been watching a lot of anthologies and talking about what does and doesn't work for us in terms of anthology storytelling. So as an anthology, do you think that this movie works as a cohesive narrative where all the stories mesh together? Do you feel any are out of place?
Like I said before, I think every part of this works. I think that the wraparound is so brilliant because you got this weird, creepy guy in a funeral home talking about the shit, and you have these tiny moments of comedy, and then you get these stories that are fucking gut punches, and then, like we said, the final segment links to the wraparound segment, and it's so smart the way it's done. And then you end on this like slightly goofy note where you're like, wow, that was a fucking experience watching that movie. It is a fucking experience. And I know I already said this, but this really is one of the best anthology films ever. Not just horror, just one of the best anthology films ever made.
And I think I kind of also talked about how I do think that this film does such a spectacular job of saying what it needs to say within the anthology format. Which, again, so many of these, it's either like, wait, what did I just watch? Mm-hmm. Was there even, what was happening here? Or
yeah, I know we talked about this with the VHS, that a lot of them just didn't feel like they went necessarily together in a way.
Right. And I do think it helps, again, that it's like one director.
Yep.
One writer.
Yep.
Or two writers technically working
writing
together
the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that really helps make this anthology cohesive. I know that Rusty Cundieff was nominated for a Razzie for part of being movie 43?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Which I never saw.
I thought you were going to say this got Razzie nominated, and I was going to be like, what the fuck?
It was like also
but okay,
like
yeah,
15
movie
other
43
is
notoriously one of the worst things. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the thing about movie 43. A lot of the people who were involved got like basically blackmailed into it.
Yep. Well, speaking of blackmail, let's play a game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
All right, we don't have a game this week. Caitlin already told us that.
Our game is to say, hello, Jeffrey.
Hello,
Hi, Jeffrey.
What are you doing to dismantle police brutality, Jeffrey?
Are you taking down the system from the inside? I don't think so, Jeffrey. You're sitting at your little desk at the FBI or the CIA. Did we decide where Jeffrey works?
I thought we said he was FBI.
Yeah, okay, so you're
like
sitting
the
at your little
CIA
desk.
isn't looking at American soil.
Yeah, you're sitting at your little desk at the FBI, and you're watching or listening to every episode of our podcast to make sure that we're not fucking terrorists or something. What are you doing?
Do you think Jeffrey's getting turned on?
I think Jeffrey probably has what's the opposite of a praise kink?
why am I like blanking on this?
Degradation.
I know, that's the one.
Yeah.
Caitlin and I over here making hand motions.
I think Jeffrey probably has a degradation kink.
Okay,
so
well,
yeah, we might be turning him on. So
bad
hi,
boy,
Jeffrey.
You're a bad boy, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Well, categorization-wise, even though the subject matter of a lot of these is very punishing, and yes, the strobing in the last segment is very punishing to the eyes and the nervous system, overall, I think this movie is a pleaser.
I think without the strobing, and I would literally have to completely skip over the entire segment.
Yeah.
Because closing my eyes wasn't enough. Without that, pleaser.
Yeah.
With that, I might hurl.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna spew into
this. All right. Do we have any final thoughts?
One of the things that really struck me when I was watching, particularly Boys Do Get Bruised, is how relatable a lot of this is, particularly emotionally, and the idea of how Black people have for so long, because they have been kept out of media, that they have had to, like, being surrounded by white media, white actors, white directors, they are asked a lot to empathize with white people. However, that has not always gone the opposite way. And obviously, with the way white people freak the fuck out when you cast a person of color in anything.
Ugh. The fucking discourse around the Odyssey right now is so
disgusting.
ridiculous.
Disgusting. And I was just thinking about that, particularly when boys get bruised, and just how empathetic, how easy it is to empathize and put yourself in a lot of these situations with, as a white person, I think, within Tales from the Hood. And again, just thinking about how we as white people need to get better about watching Black media and listening to Black people and taking this and being okay with not being the dominant person in the room.
Yeah, and being okay with discomfort at the actions of white people at large in this country.
Being okay and embrace it.
Right, and knowing like, okay, yeah, this is fucked up. I want to do better than that. I want to be empathetic and supportive of Black people because they are fucking people. Mm-hmm. You know, I do not understand why people look at someone who is different from them and automatically go, I'm better than that person. So I'm going to treat them terribly, and I'm going to allow other people like me to treat them terribly.
The dehumanization.
Yeah, dehumanization. It is something that has never made any fucking sense to me. I've talked about that I knew cops were bad guys by the time I was 4 fucking years old because I saw the way they treated Black people. And it just makes me so fucking angry. And like, yeah, having anger about that as a white person doesn't really do anyone any good unless you actually take action and you help the people in your community and you do what you can to listen and uplift the voices of people from those subsections of society so that they can exist. People just want to exist. Mm-hmm. And it is abhorrent that so much of this country does not want that. And that the entire history of this country is built on the backs of the suffering of Black people.
Well, it's just wild. It's skin color. Like, it just...
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, and I think uplifting, and as 3 white people talking about Tales from the Hood, uplifting and amplifying voices that are not your own are extremely important, and being able to take a back seat. And be
knowing when to shut up is really important.
Being very, very judicious and good at your own research, like in-depth research, because white people don't even know what a race is. It is fucking crazy. The amount of times when we were doing first episode for May and I, Tucker and Dale, the amount of times I would hear the director, writer, other people refer to hillbillies as a race. I was like, can't be trusted. Can't be trusted.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Why?
We'll talk about that off mic.
Yeah. I was, but the idea of being able to recognize yourself in media, but also not make yourself the main character in someone else's story is very important.
Put yourself in the cup chair.
Yep. And on that note, let's wrap up with what awaits you next time.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police, not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
And that brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey, fellow sinners. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review wherever you can because it helps more people find the show and it makes us all tingly inside. You can get even more of us over at patreon.com/podcastperverts. We have some really good stuff this month, and we want you to check it out. You can also find us on Instagram at Pleasers and Punishers and on Blue Sky at Pleasers Punishers. You can email us as well at pleaserspunisherspodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Everson Poe. You can find my music everywhere as Everson Poe, 2 separate words. And you can hear me podcasting on Tender Subject and Slayerfest 98. Also a reminder that I was recently on Final Girls Standing as a guest dungeon mistress, essentially, doing the final round of a March Madness bracket where Final Girls face off against each other. I had so much fucking fun. I just listened to the episode over the last 2 days, and I loved it. I loved it so much. So go check them out. The whole season was great. Caitlin, where can you be found on the internet?
I can be found at Caitlin of the North on Threads and Instagram, Cat of the North on Letterboxd, and I keep popping up on Fuck My Hellmouth for People Under the Scares Buffy Watch Along on their Patreon. They have a 7-day free trial, so if you haven't checked it out, why not?
Yeah. Amanda, what about you?
I can be found on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok at Amanda Jane Stern. I am Witchy Wanderer on Letterboxd, and I can also be heard podcasting on Murder Made Fiction. And this month we are doing John List on the main feed and the Westfield Watcher in the Patreon. So it's Westfield, New Jersey month.
And next week's episode will be our final foray in Anthology August with the newest film of the bunch and Caitlin's pick, Freaky Tales.
This is like such a good double feature with Tales from the Hood. I didn't even put it together. So
Well, I am very excited to watch it because this is going to be a first-time watch for me, and I'm kind of glad I held off. So, I've talked about I love watching movies for the first time for the podcast, so I'm really looking forward to it. Until then, do some aftercare, clean your toys, set healthy boundaries, and...
welcome to hell, motherfuckers!
Amanda, give us an evil laugh.
I was just going to do the snake tongue.
Oh.
But I don't have a little purple stick. Caitlin, just like...
Okay, I'm gonna hit stop now.
Oh my god.